guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to a new angle. Today I'm going to be doing a bookshelf reorganization video. I'm so excited. This has been my main shelf for quite a while, and I do still have room on it. Obviously, I don't know if you can see. No, you can't see, of course not. But there's like some space over here, but the main reason why I really want to reorganize my bookshelf is because I am running out of room on my YA fantasy and just like overall fantasy section. So I definitely want to expand that. So yeah, I hope you guys are excited to watch me reorganize. I'm very, very excited. I always love doing reorganization videos. So yeah, let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so first I'm going to show you guys the layout that it is right now and then kind of go through the details of how I want it to look eventually. Okay, so let's go through this main shelf here first. Sorry if I keep looking, I just want to make sure it's all organized properly. And I do think I'm also going to do an unhaul, kind of taking some stuff off that I don't think that I want to keep. The usual way that I like to keep my bookshelf organized is that I only keep books that I really, really love. So books that I've read and books that mean a lot to me, or books that were 4 or 5 stars. So I'm going to take off some stuff that maybe doesn't fit the bill as much anymore and kind of go through how it looks. Okay, so this top one here, this is all of my adult fantasy romance, and everything here is pretty much safe for now. This is the, I think, Fairy Loot from Blood and Ash series, which I really liked the first book and I mostly loved the second book, but then I DNF'd the third book and I'm just kind of over the main relationship in that book, and I just feel like it's not super well written. So I don't think that I'm going to keep that in the long run, but it was really expensive, so I'll probably end up selling it at some point. But for now it's safe. They're so pretty to look at, which is not the reason I want to keep books, but I think it's safe for now. And then also Crescent City. I did not love that first book and I haven't heard great things about the second book. So I do still kind of want to read it. It's not very high on my priority list, but I'll see. Maybe I'll actually like that one more than the first one. Kind of unlikely, but we'll see. I might just wait until that trilogy is completed and I've read it all to decide if I want to unhaul it, but I'm not gonna buy the second or third books when that comes out. I don't know if it's supposed to be, a trilogy or an extended book series, but it's safe for now. Then here I have this lovely little thing, statue, bowl, I don't know. Here I think everything is safe for now. So this shelf is my adult fantasy shelf that does maybe have some romance in it, but it's mostly just a fantasy series. Then here we have the rest of my adult fantasy, my favorite, okay, this is my favorite trilogy, but this is my favorite series, fantasy series ever. Read it last year, impeccable, so good, never getting rid of it. Then I have Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, which is the first book in the Farseer trilogy, which I have read and may unhaul it eventually, but I do have the second and third books on my TBR cart, so I will keep it, obviously. I'm hoping that I love it because I would love to collect all these editions because they're so pretty. And then we go into sci-fi, more sci-fi leaning. I feel like this could kind of be classified as fantasy, but I think it's sci-fi. Then I have, it kind of goes into YA sci-fi dystopian. So we have the Shatter Me, the first 3 books. I'm not getting the rest of them because I don't really like them, but the first trilogy, so good. Hunger Games, obviously, keeping it forever. Yeah, so that's this part. So I guess I'm not unhauling anything on these yet. That one might go, we'll see. Apologies if this angle is terrible, but yeah, here is my romance. It kind of bleeds out from under here to up here. So all of my romance, and then this is my classics shelf. So this is another reason why I really want to reorganize my bookshelves, is because I really want to have all my classics together, because I just bought a bunch of classics and they're definitely not going to fit on here. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to unhaul anything from here either. I feel like everything I'm going to unhaul is like from this shelf over here. So yeah, so we have all of the romance down here. I do actually think I'm going to unhaul The Deal by Elle Kennedy, because I have the second and third ones, or no, not the second, the third and fourth ones here, but as you can see, the heights are not the same. So eventually I might get this book in these versions, but honestly, these two are my favorite in the series, even though this was 5 stars, but for some reason I reread the third and fourth ones so much, but I've never reread the first one. I think it's because I didn't finish the second one because I didn't like the characters. So I just skipped to the third and fourth ones, and they kind of fit together because this one ends on a cliffhanger that is like really ties into this book. So I usually just read both of those, and also I just prefer them. So I think this one is going to get unhauled. Exciting, we have an unhaul, woo! Okay, so here we have, sorry, I'm trying to like stay in frame, but also get all of it. We have, this is like general fiction, some thrillers, some like YA books that aren't fantasy, and stuff like that. Kind of everything that's not fantasy goes on this shelf essentially. Not fantasy, romance, or classics goes on this shelf. So from this section here, I think I'm gonna unhaul Where the Crawdads Sing, because I've read it once, and even though I liked it so much more than I thought I was going to, there's definitely some talk about the author. She's like wanted for questioning in a murder in Africa. Look it up, it's wild. But if she's responsible for someone's murder, don't really want to support her, which she was never convicted for it, but I don't know. It leaves a sour taste in my mouth, and also I don't think I'm ever gonna reread it, so that can go. And just in case you're wondering, I was trying to do like a color palette here with these two, so that's why these Taylor Jenkins Reads books are not with Seven Husbands, but I will change that once I reorganize everything. Then I think I'm also gonna unhaul Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. This is a thriller, which is actually probably my favorite Ruth Ware book, but she's not one of my favorite authors, and since it's a thriller, I don't really feel like I need to keep it. Which is also the case with The Good Daughter, but I love this book when I read it, and I totally forgot pretty much everything that happened in it, so I need to reread it, but I remember loving it, so I probably am gonna end up keeping it. Then I think I'm also gonna unhaul If We Were Villains by ML Rio. I did enjoy this more than I thought I was going to, but I think I have to come to terms with the fact that dark academia is not really for me. So if I do want to reread this at some point, I will probably just listen to the audiobook. So that one can go. Last but not least, A Little Life. I don't need to keep this book. It's just depressing. It just is depressing. I'm sorry. I did enjoy it when I read it. It did make me cry once or twice, but I also have the audiobook for this, so if I ever want to reread it, which I don't see why anyone would ever reread this book. If you have, more power to you. It is very well written, but I don't need to read it again. And then over here we have nonfiction that is more like education based. I think I am gonna get rid of this book, which is Never Split the Difference. This is a book about like techniques for salespeople. There was a time at my job where I was gonna switch into sales, which didn't actually end up happening, so I don't really need to keep this book now that I don't want to go into sales anymore. So that can go. And then I do think I am gonna unhaul Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. This is from Book of the Month. I do have this as an audiobook as well. This is written by a therapist, so it's stories from her being a therapist, I guess. I have read it, but I don't need to reread it. And then I think everything else here is safe. And then finally, over here, these are all celebrity memoirs. My favorite show ever is The Office, so if anyone from The Office puts out a book, I usually buy it. I am missing some of Rainn Wilson's books, but I will get those eventually. So all of these are safe. I love them. Yeah, I do have one Rainn Wilson, but he has more, so yeah. And then, not exciting, these are some more overspill from my romance bookshelf. These 4 were books that me and my in real life best friends read, and yeah, even though this should not be there, I'm gonna put this over here with all your perfects. I'm putting that up there because I agree that It Ends With Us is not a romance. It's about domestic abuse, Colleen Hoover wrote it about her mom's experience with domestic abuse, so it definitely should not be classified as a romance. So yeah, I mean, I guess this one too. This one's more of a romance, I guess, because it has to do with like one of the guys in the book. It's like from his perspective most of the time, and it is more romance heavy, but since it's a sequel, I'm gonna leave it with, it ends with us up here. And then this is where like all of my router internet stuff goes, so I really can't move this part, but if you guys have any suggestions on how to like cover it up, I'm covering it with candles right now, but I don't know how much that's gonna actually cover it, and it looks kind of ugly. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. Okay, so there is my mini unhaul. 7 books, pretty good. I feel like I'm always unhauling books, but as long as I read them before I unhaul them, I'm okay with it. Okay, so let me walk you guys through how I plan on organizing everything. So I think I am going to keep this as my predominantly fantasy shelf. So I'm going to expand it to be just adult fantasy and probably YA fantasy. Then I'm gonna make this one over here my classics shelf because I have a bunch of classics that need to get added. So yeah, I'm gonna keep them on my TBR cart until I need to move them over, but for now I am gonna move my other classics onto this one. And then for this one, I think the top 3-4 shelves are gonna be my romance shelves because I have read mostly romance over the last year or so, so I am gonna end up probably making this my romance shelf, and then nonfiction probably on the bottom shelf, and then like general fiction on the second bottom, like these 2 shelves. We'll see, but yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. Probably start with taking off all of the trinkets, taking off all the trinkets and stuff. So let's start with that. How cute is this?
Like my mom used to say, talk classy, act nasty.
Okay, and then I'm just gonna leave the stuff down by the router here. All right, so that's all that stuff cleaned up. Now I'm just gonna take all the books off the shelf. Okay, that part's done. I'm gonna put my hair up and put on a t-shirt because it's hot as heck in here. And then we're gonna get started on putting the books away. I'm so excited. Okay, so after much reorganizing, I think I'm pretty happy with how it is now. You'll notice that like there's a ton of room on this one. Like this shelf right here is completely empty. I just have like a bowl and some like reading supplies. So I'm relatively happy with how it turned out. I think it's definitely going to take some finagling. Because this is like all or mostly series, I feel like it looks more put together just because there's a bunch of series together. Whereas this one kind of looks like haphazardly thrown together, especially these bottom ones, which you can't really see right now. So I might end up moving some things around, but for right now, I'm pretty happy with how it is. So let's just go through it. I'll show you guys all of the shelves. Okay, so let's start with this top shelf here. You're not gonna be able to see me, but you'll be able to hear me. So here we have just the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, as well as, well, I guess it's just the Sarah J. Maas shelf. So we have Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. We have the original covers of the first 3 books. I still need to get A Court of Frost and Starlight in this original cover. So yeah, we have those. I have these Fairy Loot covers. So these are absolutely stunning. I love them. And then my favorite, A Court of Silver Flames. Love it so much. That's why I have 2 copies. I actually just bought a new dust jacket, like a different, something like an Etsy cover that I found. And then I have this adorable Nesta Funko Pop. There's adorable little Nesta with her mask and the harp. She's adorable. I love her. And here, this has switched around a little bit from before, so I ended up putting the From Blood and Ash series down here, just because I wanted to display these covers up here, so I decided just to put these down here. Then the David Bodd trilogy, the Jade City, Greenbone Saga is what it's called, the Dark Shade of Magic books, and then I have the Midnight Library by Matt Haig here because it does have some fantasy elements to it. Okay, and then here we have some more adult fantasy. So we have the Faithful and the Fallen series by John Gwynne, the Mistborn trilogy by Brandon Sanderson, and then I decided just to put the other 2 books in this trilogy here, even though I haven't finished them yet, but just kind of to see how they're going to look on the shelves once I do read them. I think I might take these off after I'm done filming, but yeah, and then the Lord of the Rings I decided to put out like this because it's just so gorgeous. It needs to be front facing. Okay, next one down, I did end up keeping the sci-fi together here. So we got John Scalzi, Ready Player One, the Red Rising trilogy, the Shatter Me trilogy, and the Hunger Games still. And then these adorable little crystals shaped like Pokemon. I love them. They're so cute. Can you see it? So we got a little Bulbasaur, Charmander, Char. And then, is it Ghastly? Gengar? Something like that? I totally forget what his name is, but he's so cute. I love him. Okay, and then we have the rest of my, well, not the rest of, then we have some more YA fiction here. So we have the Last Hours series. I'm actually reading Chain of Thorns right now. I have like 200 pages left of this one. Definitely my favorite Shadowhunters series, trilogy in general. I don't really care that much for the other books in that trilogy, or I don't really care much for the other books in that world, but these 2 are 5 stars. This, spoiler alert for, not spoiler alert for the book, but spoiler alert for my thoughts, I'm not obsessed with it, which is so disappointing because this is my most anticipated read of the entire year, but I do think it's a bit long and some parts do drag a little bit. So I don't think it's gonna be a full 5 stars, but I do think that I will reread this trilogy in the future, depending on how this one goes. It could go horribly wrong. We'll see, I guess. Then I do have some candles here. This one's actually a hawk from Bud and Ash, but, and then I have the Bloodline series, which is my favorite YA series of all time, absolutely obsessed. And then I've recently been collecting the Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes series. So I have the first 3, and then once I get the rest, I think I'm gonna end up, you know, facing this the normal way and then putting it there and then maybe getting rid of these. I don't know. we'll see. Okay, so this is definitely gonna be a work in progress, but I have like 30 of these editions of other classics to read, so they're gonna go here. I do need to organize them by author though. I kind of just stuck them on there, I think. Yes, because Austen, Bronte, they should be closer together. So I put those there. And then here I have my Shakespeare in this like really pretty version. Each one is so beautiful. So I actually have like 16 more of these that I need to read, and then I'll end up putting these next to here on this shelf. And then I have all of my other classics that are in different editions. So these ones are so pretty, the vintage classics, I love them. Les Mis gets its own shining spot because I'm really proud of myself for finishing that book. It was like 1,100 pages or something like that. And then some of these are ones that I actually liked in high school, which is a shock because I didn't read anything in high school. So we have Night by, how do you pronounce it, Wiesel? Eli Wiesel. Obsessed. Obsessed is a weird thing to say about a book related to the Holocaust, but I really love that book. I've read it multiple times at this point. And then I actually really liked Animal Farm. So that's that. Alrighty, and here we have the, whoops, put my leg out of the way. We have the nonfiction section. Definitely need to remove that sticker because that is an eyesore. But this is the celebrity memoir section. So I ended up alphabetizing it by author last name instead of having it in height order because I actually think I like this better. Even though it's like up and down, not the same sizes, I kind of like how it looks. Here we have the more informative nonfiction here because like Patti Smith and Trevor Noah are both celebrities, but these are more, I don't know, more hard-hitting than I would say these are. These are more like fun books. So yeah, these are absolutely some of my favorites. This, Between the World and Me, ugh, absolutely incredible. In the Dream House, and my all-time favorite nonfiction is Know My Name by Chanel Miller, which is why I have 2 copies of it. Just one of the best books that I've ever read in my entire life. It's so good. Okay, and then here is my contemporary fiction and some thrillers and that kind of stuff here. The thrillers might get their own, and I guess this is horror, and these are, I think are they technically thrillers? I have no idea. This kind of it's just kind of a mishmash of things. But I do have all of the Taylor Jenkins Reid's books over here. I am gonna be rereading Daisy Jones and the Six before the show comes out. Very excited about that. So here is where I put, I'd say, some darker romances, as well as some, I guess you'd call them hard-hitting contemporary. So put those here. I do think that Ugly Love is a romance, but it does definitely have some dark elements. So that's why this one's not with the other Colleen Hoovers over here, because these are less romance and more just hard-hitting contemporaries. So I have a couple of Laura Lee series. These were like the first romance series that I ever read. There's like 3, I think there's these 3 that I need to organize them. But I think this one, and this one are part of a trilogy, and then the other ones are part of like a Navy SEALs series, so definitely need to organize those. But yeah, See Everyone, probably one of my all-time favorite romances. A lot of these are fun, like I wouldn't call them my all-time favorites, and a couple I read for book clubs, which is why I'm keeping them even though they weren't favorites, like When Heroes Fall and Priest were romances that I've read with my best friends for our in real life book club. So for these ones, I keep them because I annotated the heck out of them. So that's why they're still here, and I will keep them forever probably. So that's that. All right, so this is just where I put the more fluffy romances. I guess you could say that the Twisted series is more, leans a little bit darker, but I still think it's like a comforting series. It's definitely not as dark as the darker romances I already showed you guys, but I just kind of put them in kind of like a gradient here. Some of my favorites: Heartless, Ladies Men, Twisted Hate, love it. The Score and The Goal, I would say, are like my 5-star reads, and then everything else is like 4 stars, I would say. apologies for the strange angle here. So this is the final romance shelf here. So I have the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert. I believe this is the Fairy Loot hardcover edition, so they have sprayed edges. And then we have my Emily Henry books here. I just put this one out because I really like orange, so I put the orange cover out. Then I have the Fairy Loot edition of The Hating Game, which is gorgeous. The standard edition of The Hating Game, some Christina Lauren books, and then Sarah Hogel's You Deserve Each Other. I just decided that looked pretty up here. Okay, and here is the overview of the entire thing. So there's my bed, don't look. And here is the overview. Let me show you guys how it looks. So here is the nonfiction section here. I was already editing, so you'll see in the notes that I did end up moving a couple of books from the classic section because I did feel like they fit better in the nonfiction. So I ended up moving over I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings and Night. So I moved that to the nonfiction section, so you'll see that momentarily. Oh, and also, I didn't even show the top of this. So this here is a map of the city in Denmark where my parents grew up. And it's my favorite city in the world because we used to go there a lot when I was a kid. And then I have some jewelry over here and a globe that I still need to take the tag off, even though I've had it for like an entire year. Also, look how adorable these are. I have Cassian earrings, and then of course on the other side is Nesta. So cute. And then here we have the main shelf. So we have, I put some candles. I have a bunch of Avatar candles, I didn't realize. So we have the fantasy, the YA and sci-fi, some more YA. So there's the overview of that shelf. So cute. Here is the romance shelf. Sorry if you can hear that noise. My computer's making noise. And there it is. So yeah, I'm happy with how it turned out. Okay, so that is the final bookshelf tour. Let me know what you guys think about it. If you have any suggestions on moving anything around, please let me know. I would love to see that. But I really am liking how it turns out, even though now that I have all this extra room, I feel like I need to buy more books. But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video.